It's the all-new JayMac News Show. You haven't heard the news until you've heard JayMac on KSL News Radio.
Good afternoon. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us today. 67 for the high today. It looks gorgeous in downtown Salt Lake. I am so glad you are here. And as you know, we start things off right.
This is the JayMac News Attack.
What is the news attack? Well, I have been tasked to give you 5 takeaways or opinions in 5 minutes, as only I can do. And of course, today, the attack has to be about the Donald Trump, Paul Ryan, Kumbaya coming together meeting. My point number 5.
Takeaway number 5.
Well, Donald Trump and Paul Ryan spent about an hour together today trying to discover if they can unite the party. It appears that they were able to come together on some of these issues.
It was important that we discussed our differences that we have, but it was also important that we discussed the core principles that tie us all together.
My point about the Donald Trump-Paul Ryan meeting, there was no doubt in my mind or anybody else's mind that this was going to happen. We know the Republicans cannot afford to go into the general election with major discord at the top. This was set in stone from the beginning.
Number 4.
Their joint statement says that they cannot afford another 4 years of President Obama-type politics in the White House.
We have an executive that is going way beyond the boundaries of the Constitution and how it's important to us that we restore Article 1 of the Constitution.
My point about the Kumbaya Donald Trump Paul Ryan moment, in other words, we've decided we're going to look past all of our concerns, all of our differences, all of our character flaws, because we can't afford Hillary Clinton, the evil Sith Lord, to be allowed to enter the White House. Yes, we know she is the evil Sith Lord. Point number 3.
Takeaway number 3.
Paul Ryan asked Donald Trump to tramp down his controversial rhetoric. This is according to various sources. What rhetoric is that?
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
Some, I assume, are good people. I understand my point. I understand coming together and compromising on certain principles and finding common ground. How do you come together about this type of rhetoric? Mr. Trump, you know, when you said that they were rapists, do you think that you could maybe, I don't know, scale that back a little bit? Because we kind of can't win without the Hispanic vote. When you say hateful things about women, do you think maybe you could maybe just, kind of step that back a little bit? I don't know. Call me crazy. Do you think you could do that?
Number 2.
My number 2 point about the Kumbaya moment between Paul Ryan and Donald Trump is this statement from Paul Ryan about what they discussed. Amazing.
But it was also important that we discussed the core principles that tie us all together. Principles like the Constitution, the separation of powers.
Now listen to that. Paul Ryan sat Donald Trump down and he explained to him simple principles like the Constitution and the separation of powers. See, Donald, you don't have like all supreme power. You understand that, Donald, right? You understand that you're not the supreme commander.
I wish to be the most powerful sorcerer in the world.
You understand that this is not an all-powerful position. You know there's a Supreme Court and there's a you understand this. And Donald's like, wait, what? What? You mean I can't? What?
And JayMac News Attack. Takeaway number 1.
Oh, my number 1 takeaway regarding the Kumbaya moment between Donald Trump and Paul Ryan. As I've said before, having to meet with other elected officials and come to some common ground, this is a great thing. It's an amazing thing. I don't remember a time in a presidential election when the presumptive nominee had to go to other leaders of the party and say, hey, we differ on some things. Let's talk about it. Let's come together. We should never assume that just because someone is a member of our party that this means we'll rubber stamp everything that they do. We should never, as citizens, rubber stamp anything and everything that members of our party believe or do. That would be a problem, and it has been a problem that has gone on for far too long. So I, for one, am glad to see Paul Ryan not saying he's going to dive in and get on board, and Donald Trump saying, I'm not sure I'm going to support him. We have differing, what? Standards, opinions, principles? Are you kidding me? I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome. I am glad to see it.